This is Luke Radowski reporting in a car rushing to the airport in Minnesota because we're late for our flight. And I'm joined by a very important person, Stewart Rhodes, Yale graduate and also founder of the Oath Keepers, a very important organization that is making sure military and police officers uphold their oath to the Constitution and do not violate anyone's rights. Now, Stewart had very interesting conversations with me when I was here. And one thing he said that really stuck out in my mind is that courage comes from love. Stewart, what makes you say that?
Well, I mean, that's what really drives someone to risk their own life or even give their own life. It's not hatred. It's not fear. It's love of their family, love of their man next to them, their brothers. Love of their country. Those are the things that get you to do these things. Fear has a very short half-life. It's not really a driver for warriors. It's love. That's the highest calling, or the highest form of a warrior is someone who defends, not someone who oppresses. And so that's one of the things we're trying to get the modern military in the United States to understand, is that this is what it means to be a warrior. It means to be a defender of the people's rights and defender of the Constitution. And so we try to get them to realize that, embrace that core of the warrior spirit, the higher level of it, and the true calling of a warrior. And so that's kind of our mission, is to do what we can to wake them up. Like I said yesterday in my speech, most of them have a sense of honor and courage. We just have to make sure they know what's right and what's wrong.
And we're living in a world where sadly those lines are drawn, and sadly a lot of people are run by fear. And I think that's why you see a lot of police and a lot of military guys violate civilians' rights.
Well, I don't think it's really fear is driving them. I think it's this lack of knowledge. I don't, because that's the thing, is that, like I said, they've got courage. Most of them have courage and a sense of honor, but they just don't have the knowledge of what's right and wrong. In the population at large, I think we need to get back to more of a warrior ethic. And that's the problem you're talking about, is that so many people out there are afraid to speak up, afraid to do anything, and they're letting their fear drive you. I never say be fearless, because a sane man's always going to be afraid, but you deal with it. It's courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. Bravery is not the absence of fear. It's being afraid and still doing the right thing. It's rising above it. Like one of your people on your interviews, one of the videos you showed yesterday, I think one of them said that, rise above the fear. And that's exactly what it is, because at the end of the day, we all die. We're all going to die. No one gets out of here alive. And so what counts is what we do and who we are, not just saving our own skin. And so that's kind of a warrior ethic too, right? A warrior assumes the responsibility and is willing to go out there and put himself in between danger and his own people. That's what he's supposed to be doing. And so I think we all have to have that spirit and that kind of conviction, not just a professional warrior class. It was never meant to be that way in this country. Every American is supposed to be a soldier. Every American is supposed to be a warrior, in the militia. And so that's another concept I think we need to get back to, is just that we don't have we're not a specialized class of just workers, and then there's professional warriors like in Plato's Republic. That's not how we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be all of those things. So I think it's a total cop-out for your average person to go, well, that's not me. That's for somebody else to go stand up and do these things. No, you've got an obligation yourself to do that.
Yeah, we're all human beings. We're all one mankind. We're really all family when you look down into everything. And sadly, the powers that be, or the super powerful, use us against each other. And they use poor people against other poor people to beat the crap out of each other and control each other. Meanwhile, if we all understand we're all one, we're all in this together, we shouldn't be taking unconstitutional orders and violating people's rights. Especially, I don't know what you think about Occupy Wall Street, but there's been many civil rights and constitutional violations in New York City with the NYPD. Right. What's your takes with the NYPD's behavior at Occupy Wall Street, and what message would you tell them?
Well, it's not just NYPD, it was across the country. I would say, look, the bedrock that we have all together is our Bill of Rights, and the First Amendment is first for a reason, and they should not, whether it like someone's views or not, they should not be trampling on someone's right to free speech and assembly. I did a letter in defense of the Occupy Sacramento group when they were you know, there was the people out there trying to run them out of the. They were in I think they were in Chavez Park, Cesar Chavez Park there in Sacramento. And we had some conservatives contact me, and they're like, "Oh, you know, we support them getting them out of there." I said, "Well, why?" And they said, "Because they're violating the camping ordinance or the ordinance against, you know, staying overnight." I said, "What was the point of that ordinance?" And I said, "Oh, it was to stop drug dealers and prostitutes and homeless people just, you know, living there." I said, "Well, is that what they're doing? This is a protest." I said, you shouldn't use a law that was written to stop drug dealers against someone's free speech." So I opposed that. And I said, I wrote a letter and said, I told the Occupy Sacramento guys, go ahead and show this to the city council.
If you don't believe in freedom of speech for your enemies, you don't believe in freedom of speech at all.
Yeah, for all of us. Not just for conservatives, not just for liberals. It's for everybody.
All right.
You know, so
I'm gonna miss my flight.
All right, brother.
Stewart, thank you so much. Appreciate it very much.
Right.
Keep up the awesome, great work.
You too.
Oathkeepers.org.
They told me on the phone, you're not allowed, you could be across the street to film. This area here is considered private property.
So I have this right here. This is a public sidewalk right here.
No,
that
private
everybody-
property.
Every man and woman gets to walk through.
Listen.
My taxpayer dollars paid this clean for.
There's a big issue that was affecting our city, I would say afflicting our city, as well as a lot of the other major cities in Iowa, which is the red light camera, or AIT, Automated Traffic Enforcement.